A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention! All districts, a 5-alarm fire. 5 bells, move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll!
Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Chief Cody and his young friend Jimmy Collins at the headquarters station house where the junior firefighters are storing the antiques which they're collecting for their sale to raise money for the school organization. It was Chief Cody's idea that the older men help the youngsters. But even so, the boys themselves had gotten together quite a collection the first day, including one item that Jimmy now suspects to be a lot more valuable than anybody knew. But that wasn't half the mystery, as you'll discover for yourself in just 1 minute. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go right into station headquarters just beyond the great red pumper in the hook and ladder truck, where an odd assortment of old furniture and boxes holding smaller items is piling up for the junior firefighter sale. A moment ago, Jimmy Collins had been amazed when an eccentric old antique dealer had wandered in with his dog and become briefly excited over a snuff box Jimmy had showed him. As he tells Chief Cody excitedly,
he said his name was Lucius P. Darby, and I couldn't help liking him, Chief. But gosh, was he a character. He acted like that thing was worth $1 million.
Well, that's silly. You must have been mistaken, Jimmy.
I want to show you that snuff box, sir. I've got it in a box right here. Mr. Darby didn't want me to know he was interested in it for some reason. He changed the subject and pretended to be interested in the fire trucks. Only he didn't know a doggone thing about them.
No reason why he should, son.
Well, then why did he pretend? Holy smoke.
What's the matter?
The snuff box. It isn't here now. It's gone.
Well, maybe it was valuable at that. So the old man did walk off with it, huh?
Mr. Darby? Well, that's impossible. He couldn't have.
You mean somebody else came in here after he did?
No, he was the last one. I showed it to him, and then...
And then he must have taken it, Jimmy.
I tell you, he couldn't, sir. Gosh, he even patted his pockets to show me he had nothing in them.
Well, don't you think that was rather strange?
Of course, it was strange, all right, but he wasn't carrying that snuff box on him. I even shook hands with him and then with his dog.
With it? Do you feel all right, son?
I'm not crazy. He treated that dog just like a person. Said they went everywhere together. All I mean is neither one of them could have carried it out.
Well, maybe he hid it around here.
Well, that wouldn't have made sense. Gee, he'd have known we'd hunt for it. We'll look, but I bet we won't find it.
Oh, come now. Maybe it seems kind of mysterious, but...
Kind of? My gosh, Chief Cody, you wait and see. I tell you, he's made that snuff box vanish into thin air.
And even some hours later, nobody could prove that it hadn't happened that way. In the living room of the Collins home after supper, the family, Mother Collins, Tim, Trudy, and Jimmy, are sitting around a table as Trudy flips the pages of a book. But Jimmy can't seem to stay quiet a minute. He's saying to his mother now,
"That was the doggonest thing you ever saw, Mom. The chief and half his men at the station house hunted high and low.
And still no trace of the snuff box Mrs. Wilcox gave you.
No. Gosh, you should have seen his face. Boy, was he angry.
You know how red in the face Chief Cody gets when he's mad, Mom.
Look, Trudy, will you please keep looking through that book? You've been at it half an hour already.
Hey, take it easy, Jimmy. Trudy was good enough to go to the library and get it for you.
You were so excited you couldn't even talk straight.
Well, gosh, why shouldn't I be? That old book isn't going to tell us how that snuff box vanished anyway.
But it may tell you whether it was valuable or not, son.
The librarian said it had everything in it about antiques, and there's a whole section here on old snuff boxes, Jimmy.
Well, I already know it's valuable. Mr. Darby's an antique dealer. He should know about those things. You should have seen his eyes pop when he saw it.
Yeah, but afterwards you said he only offered $10 for it.
Well, he'd have offered more, only I said the things weren't for sale till later. And then when he asked me to save it for him, he saw I was getting suspicious.
I think Jimmy's right, Mother. He was afraid of letting Jimmy see how much he wanted it.
That's it. So he pretended he wasn't interested anymore.
Well, but from what you said, he didn't seem like the kind of person who Well, who'd steal something?
No, I got to admit he didn't.
Well, how can you tell? Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he just loves old things so much he couldn't resist.
Gee whiz, how many times do I have to tell you he didn't walk out of the firehouse with it?
I think he went to a lot of trouble to be sure you knew that very thing.
Well, anyway, I do know. And Trudy, will you keep looking
I
for
don't have to, Jimmy. I've already found it.
Oh, for Pete's sake, why didn't you say
Oh,
so?
look, Tim, Mother. You see this picture?
Oh, say, it does look like it, all right.
I was with Jimmy the day Mrs. Wilcox's attic caught fire, and I was right there when she gave this very same snuff box to us.
Yeah, it does look like it, all right. That same funny design cards and jade on the top. And those flower things.
That's the fleur-de-lis, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's it. The Florida, what's it? Just like Mr. Darby said.
Yeah, it says here it's the only one of its kind in existence. Yeah, it's made out of jade and...
Is that valuable, Mom?
Well, that isn't why it's valuable. It's a collector's item, a museum piece. It says so right here, and it's been missing since...
It's been missing since late this afternoon.
Jimmy, I think we've discovered something very important. No wonder Mr. Darby was excited. This snuff box was made especially for a king of France, King Louis XIV.
That explains that design, doesn't it, Mother? And why it's pictured in this book. Gee, a real king.
He should have been more careful with it.
I rather think you should have also, Jimmy.
Don't worry. Chief Cody will get it back now he knows how valuable it is. How much does it say there?
You don't set a price on a thing like this, dear.
I do, Mom. My gosh, the money this thing would bring in could buy the junior firefighters a new clubhouse. Maybe 2 clubhouses. Maybe even a fire truck.
Jimmy, you're forgetting one thing, aren't you?
He certainly is, Tim. Belongs to Mrs. Wilcox, not him.
She gave it to me, didn't she?
She certainly couldn't have known what it was, Jimmy. Perhaps it's too priceless to belong to any one person. But that's not our concern. It must be found and returned.
Oh, look, Mom. Chief Cody's the best one to help us on this. Let me go down to headquarters and tell him what we know.
Well, it's getting rather late.
But maybe he'll want to ask Mr. Darby some questions. He'll need me along.
But look, Jimmy, you're the one who says he can prove Mr. Darby didn't take it.
Oh, say, I forgot about that.
This whole thing is very strange. I guess we do need Chief Cody's advice. Run down to headquarters if you like, Jimmy. But for goodness sake, try not to get into any more trouble today.
A few minutes later, Jimmy stands in the great open doorway of the station house, disappointment written on his face. The chief's car, the trucks, gone. Only one man sits at the desk filling out routine reports. Then, as Jimmy slowly turns away, he hears... And suddenly, the bright red car belonging to the chief swings around the corner, and a moment later, brakes to a stop in the station house with a violence that told Jimmy the chief wasn't in good humor.
What the dickens are you doing here, Jimmy? Time you were in bed.
But you don't know what's happened, Chief.
Don't I, though? We just answered a false alarm a few blocks down the avenue. If there's anything makes me mad.
You're going to be even more mad when I tell you what...
Well, let's not get underfoot now, son. Keep out of the way while that truck backs in. Boys aren't going to be feeling any happier than I am.
Well, that snuff box we couldn't find, remember?
I don't want to hear any more about that. It's gone, and that's that.
We'll hear plenty more about it, Chief. Mom says it belongs in a museum.
Well, that's where I feel I belong. I'm tired. All the work is securing now and for no reason.
Well, when this gets in the newspapers, Chief, maybe they'll blame me that snuff box disappeared.
Newspapers? You mean...
Mom says it's so valuable you can't put a price on it. You got to help me. I'll be in Dutch.
Well, if it's as important as that and it disappeared from my station house, we're both in Dutch. So let's go up to my office, Jimmy.
The minute Jimmy finishes his story, Chief Cody says...
Well, if this were a fire, I'd know exactly what to do, Jimmy.
But a minute ago, you said something about going to the police.
I know, but now... Well, I think they'd laugh at us. We can't even prove this snuff box was the one Trudy saw pictured in that book. How do we know it's a priceless art object that's been missing for years?
Well, I think the way Mr. Darby acted proves that.
So do I, but he offered you a top price of $10 for it. What would the police say to that?
Yeah, it would sound funny.
It'd be worth my reputation to say it vanished into thin air.
But I'm sure that antique dealer's behind this, sir.
I wonder. He certainly didn't hide it here, and you swear he didn't take it with him. If I'd known this, I'd have asked him a few questions just the same.
But you didn't talk with Mr. Darby, Chief.
Yes, I did. He was out walking his dog in the neighborhood where that false alarm was.
Well, that's funny. His shop is over on Cedar Street, he said.
Well, the trucks attracted him, and he asked so many questions I had to shoo him off. That old fellow is a bug on fire equipment.
No, he's not, Chief. He's not.
What do you mean? The boys had trouble keeping him off the truck while we checked that false alarm.
Did you find out who turned it in?
No, we didn't. Say, are you hinting...
All I know is Mr. Darby pretended he was interested in fire trucks this afternoon. But he didn't know a pumper from a hook and ladder.
Well, a lot of people don't. I can't see.
But I can, Chief. I can see everything now.
You mean you know how that doggone snuff box just up and vanished?
Sure, it's easy. You come downstairs and I'll show you.
You're not telling me it's still down there.
Oh, gosh, no. I can't even prove anything. And you'll have to help me after I explain.
Explain what?
About the snuff box. I know where it is now, and not only that, I know how it got there.
The chief stares at the youngster in amazement. Does Jimmy really know the answer to the mystery of the jade snuff box? And how did he find out like that all of a sudden? And if he knows where it is, will they be able to get it back? Be sure to listen to our next exciting episode of The Firefighters. In a moment, Chief Bob Cody will be back to tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. First, an important message. Now, Fire Chief Bob Cody and a special message for all firefighters. Chief Cody.
Attention, firefighters. This is Chief Cody, boys and girls, with an assignment that follows right along after the one I gave you last time. This time, let's think about camping and building campfires. The woods of this country are more important to us than you could know. And forest fires are a terrible thing. So always extinguish all fires completely with sand or water. And never leave until the last ember is cold. That is all. Till next time, this is Chief Cody saying, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's fall! Let's go! Firefighters!
In just a moment, X-1. But first, your home will be filled with the voices of top entertainers and fascinating experts in the homemaking field tomorrow when Virginia Graham and Mike Wallace bring you another broadcast of NBC's Weekday. Among the special guests is Rita Gam, Hollywood star and one of Grace Kelly's prospective bridesmaids. And Rita will be joined by a singer whose unique style is well known to his many fans, Johnny Ray. Then from Britain, it's actor Trevor Howard. Meet them all tomorrow when NBC's Weekday brings you another day of fact and fun on this station. Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X-1.
Tonight, a story by Frederick Pohl, Tunnel Under the World.
On the morning of June 15, Guy Burkhart woke up screaming. It was more real than any dream he had ever had in his life. He could still hear and feel that sharp, metal-ripping explosion, that searing wave of heat. He sat up.
Mary! Where are you?
Guy, what's wrong? You're trembling.
Where were you?
In the kitchen cooking breakfast. What is it?
I don't know, a dream, I guess. An explosion.
Did you say an explosion?
Yes.
But that's the dream I had.
What?
I dreamed there was a big explosion, and then something sort of hit me on the head.
Holy smokes, maybe there really was some sort of explosion, and it started us dreaming.
Well, there'll be an explosion down at your office if you don't hurry and get to work.
Coming in on the bus, Burkhart watched to see if there was any evidence of an explosion. There wasn't. If anything, the town looked better than ever. The only thing that seemed strange to him was the fact that none of the usual crowd was on the bus. He was a little relieved when his old pal, Henry Swanson, finally got on.
Excuse me.
Henry!
Pardon me, sir?
Henry, what's the matter with you? It's me, Guy Burkhart.
Burkhart? Sorry, I don't believe we've met.
What? Henry, for Pete's sake, it's me.
If you'll excuse me, this is my stop.
Well, I'll be... How do you like that?
Guy Burkhart got off in front of the gigantic Contro Chemical Building, took the elevator to the 98th floor where he had worked in the accounting department for 12 years. It wasn't until he was almost at his floor that he realized the speaker was not playing the usual commercials.
Friends, are you happy with your present home freezer? Of course not. Well, the answer to your problems is a Fecco freezer. Fecco freezers are better freezers. Most wives would do anything for a Fecco freezer. Friends, are you happy with your present home freezer?
Morning, Miss Horn.
Good morning, Mr. Burkhart.
Well, new hairdo, I see, huh?
Why, yes. Do you like it?
That makes a lot of difference in your appearance. Mr. Barth in?
No, sir. He had an appointment with Mr. Dorchin of the Human Research Institute.
Today? But today's the 15th of June. He has to sign the quarterly statement.
He said he wouldn't be in.
Huh, that's mighty peculiar.
Yes, sir.
Oh, by the way, Miss Horn, what the devil is a Fecco freezer?
A Fecco freezer?
There's some new copy on the elevator commercial. Dorch must have landed another account. Fecco freezers.
I really don't know, Mr. Burkhart.
Huh. It's a funny day. Can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something strange going on.
He couldn't shake the thought out of his mind. It persisted all through the day and through dinner. He was still brooding as he and Mary got ready for bed.
Tired, dear?
Oh, no.
Anything wrong?
I don't know.
Well, I guess I'll get a good night's sleep. Coming?
I think I'll sit up and read for a while.
Well, good night, darling.
Night, dear.
At exactly midnight, Guy Burkhart lapsed into a sudden, deep sleep. And the following morning, he woke up, screaming.
Darling, what is it? What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. Bad dream, I guess.
Oh, you gave me such a shock.
I seem to be having a lot of nightmares lately.
Really?
Yes, the one I had yesterday. This was the same. A big explosion and then nothing.
You had a dream yesterday?
Well, of course I did. You had the same sort of dream.
I? Guy, you're mistaken. I don't remember dreaming.
Oh, now, Mary, you told me.
Guy, you're mistaken.
But, Mary, you...
Maybe you dreamed I had a dream. Maybe...
Oh, yes, I might have done that, I suppose. Everything did seem sort of strange yesterday.
Oh, that's probably it. You better get dressed, dear. Today's the 15th. That's when the quarterly statement...
15th?
Yes.
Well, it must have been a dream, because yesterday was the 15th.
Guy Burkhart got up, dressed, ate breakfast, and took the usual bus to work. Once again, everything seemed even brighter and newer than usual. And once again he was puzzled when he noticed none of the old crowd on the bus.
Pardon me, please.
Well, look, don't shove so. Oh, morning, Henry.
Morning. For God's sake, don't talk to me.
What is it? You being followed or something?
Don't you know? I was sure you remembered.
Remembered what?
I can't talk. This is my stop. Will you excuse me, please?
Well, Henry, for Pete's sake.
As in yesterday's dream, Guy Burkhart got off at his stop and took the elevator to the 98th floor. The speaker in the elevator purred a new commercial this time.
Marlin cigarettes. They're sanitized. Does your present cigarette make your throat feel raspy and unpleasant? Marlin cigarettes contain a miraculous new drug which actually gives you the sensation of smooth, creamy smoke. Marlin cigarettes. Marlin cigarettes.
He walked down the marble corridor to his office.
Good morning, Mr. Vericard.
Good morning, Miss Horn.
Do you like my new hairdo?
Yes. Is Mr. Barth in?
No, sir. He had an
Appointment with Mr. Dorchin at the Research Institute. I know.
You know?
Well, I guessed it anyway. And today is the 15th of June, and he won't be here to sign the quarterly statement, and I'm going nuts. Let me have a cigarette, will you?
Yes, sir. Try one of these. They're Marlins.
I never heard of Marlins before today. What are we, a bunch of guinea pigs?
Something wrong, Mr. Burkhardt?
Wrong? Perish the thought, Miss Horn. Perish the thought.
He went to his desk and stared at the mail. Before he opened it, he knew that the factory distributor's envelope contained an order for 12 new electronic computers. He knew that the development journal contained an article about a new method of transprinting selective brain circuits of human engineers onto the electric brain circuits of robot engineers to facilitate the operation of automatic factories. He knew that there was a complaint from Feinbeck & Sons about the Contro Chemicals' newest household robot circuit. After a long while, he forced himself to open them. They were exactly as he suspected.
Hello?
This is Swanson, Henry Swanson.
What is it?
Do you remember?
Remember what?
Just remember.
All right, now listen, Henry, let's stop playing games. Yesterday, either I was dreaming or you snubbed me on the bus. Today, the same thing happens.
Oh, you do remember, thank heavens. I thought so when I saw you, but I couldn't be sure.
Now, what is it you want?
Listen, tomorrow morning, when I get off the bus, you get off with me. Be casual. They may be watching.
Who may be watching? Swanson! Hello!
You buzzed, Mr. Burkhardt?
Yes, I'm still out of cigarettes. Would you buy me a pack of Kelvins?
Wouldn't you rather have Marlin?
I smoke Kelvins.
But, Mr. Burkhardt, Marlins have that soft, creamy smoke that's so soothing to your throat.
Oh. You really believe that stuff?
Well, it's true. I wouldn't say this, Mr. Burkhardt, except that, well, I've gotten to know you pretty well, and I've grown to admire you so much.
I see.
Would you mind, Mr. Burkhardt, if I told you that for months now I've wanted to, well, just comfort you? I know how troubled you've been.
Well, you've never mentioned your feelings before, Miss Horn.
April. My first name's April.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a pretty name.
You see, I do have your welfare at heart. That's why when I see you smoking Kelvins, and I know Marlins are so much better, won't you let me buy some of them for you, huh?
Well, I suppose so. Why not? Here, bring me a carton.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Burkhardt. Guy?
I think you ought to go.
I'll be back.
There was something wrong. Something definitely peculiar about what was happening. The call from Henry Swanson. The strange behavior of his secretary, Miss Horn. These new products, the dream. Guy Burkhardt went home that night feeling like a man in a nightmare.
Is that you, dear?
It's me.
Did you have a good day?
Fair.
Oh, before you sit down, will you go down in the cellar and put in a new fuse? The switch in the hall closet blew out. I shut it off.
Okay.
Supper will be ready in a minute, so don't start fooling around with that old boat hull you've been building.
I won't. Mary! Mary!
What is it?
Come down here. Hurry up.
Well, what is it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I was looking for a fuse, and I thought maybe I'd dropped one under the boathouse, so I scratched around. Look. Let me put the flashlight on it.
Well?
Look at the floor.
What about the floor?
It's supposed to be cement.
Well?
Well, it's copper. There's a thin layer of cement, but underneath it's metal. Look here. Underneath the concrete, more metal. And here on the wall. You see? Metal. Metal under the floor, behind the walls, every place.
Well, I don't really understand.
Mary, I know this sounds crazy, but somebody, for reasons I can't even begin to guess, has taken this house and replaced it with a clever imitation.
Guy.
Mary, I'm going to look around a little more.
Well, your dinner will be ready.
All right, save it for me. There are a couple of things I've got to figure out.
The following morning, Guy Burkhart woke up screaming. He dragged himself into the kitchen where his wife Mary was preparing breakfast and discovered it was still June 15th.
Mary, where's the morning paper? Where is it?
It's outside the door, I guess.
Uh-huh. June 15th.
You'd better hurry, dear. Today's the day Mr. Barr fills out the quarterly tax return.
Oh, no, it isn't.
What?
He won't be there. He'll be at a meeting with that crackpot Dorchin at the Human Research Institute.
Mr. Dorchin?
He'll be there. And Miss Horn will have a new hairdo, and the elevator will be selling some new product, and Swanson...
What about Swanson?
Swanson, he said... I wonder if it's going to be the same today, or whether...
Guy, what in the world are you talking about?
Huh? Nothing. Never mind. Where's my coat?
You haven't had any breakfast.
I don't want to miss my bus. I'll see you tonight.
Guy Burkhart got on his bus. There were the same unfamiliar faces, the same unusually new-looking buildings, the same unusually bright sunshine. And on the customary corner, Henry Swanson, pale and furtive, climbed aboard.
Excuse me, sir.
It's quite all right.
Do you remember the phone call?
Yes.
Oh, thank heaven. Get off at the next corner and follow me.
Where are you going?
There's an excavation for a building about a block down. Make sure you aren't followed. I'll go first. Burkhart. Here, behind the fence.
All right now, Henry, what's this all about?
I'm not sure. At first I thought perhaps they were Russians. Now I'm beginning to think they're Martians. No humans could have accomplished what they've accomplished.
Now, wait a minute. Start from the beginning, Henry. What's going on?
Look, Burkhart, peculiar things have been happening to you, right?
Yes.
A lot of your friends are missing. Your house seems changed.
Yeah. There's something stranger than that. The date. Today is June 15th. Yet I could swear yesterday was June 15th and the day before that.
You got it, friend. It's always June 15th. And you and I are the only ones who know it.
But why, Henry? How?
I'm not sure. I think it's some sort of mass hypnosis or something.
Well, why doesn't it work for us? My wife, Mary, doesn't remember a thing.
Somehow, when it happened, they missed us. We were protected from the full force of the rays or whatever they used. Burkhart, where were you on the night of the 14th, about midnight?
Let me see, that was Sunday night.
Yes.
Yeah, I was down in the cellar under the boat I'm building.
I was in my darkroom developing some pictures.
This just doesn't make any sense to me. Russians, Martians. What makes you think that?
I've seen them.
Where?
At the end of the tunnel.
What tunnel?
The one they built under Tylertown.
A tunnel under Tylertown?
Yes, that's right. It's made out of copper or some alloy.
Copper? Wait a minute. I found a copper layer under my cellar floor last night.
So did I. That's how I discovered it. I found a way to get in, too. It's at the bottom of this excavation.
Holy mackerel. Henry, why don't we tell the police?
Because we can't trust them. Even the police may be Martians in disguise.
Oh, come on now. You're being melodramatic.
Oh, am I? Well, you just come with me.
Where?
Into the tunnel. I'll show you.
Henry Swanson led Guy Burkhart to a small hole in the side of the excavation. There he removed the cut-out piece of metallic substance, and they crawled into a dimly lighted tunnel. They walked for what seemed like 2 miles until Swanson held his finger to his lips.
We've got to be quiet now.
Henry, this is fantastic. They've got a tunnel right under the whole town.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. There's a room a little farther down. We'll be able to look through a glass in the door.
Is it safe?
It's perfectly safe, unless one of them comes along. Now, come on.
Okay.
Here. Now, Burkhardt, look through this glass. Now, just so I know I'm not completely insane, tell me what you see.
Good Lord.
Well?
A tremendous panel with dozens of telescreens. And in front of each is a servo robot. They seem to be computing something.
Yes, I've watched them. They're evaluating data from the screens.
Have you gotten a chance to look at the data on those screens?
No. I've been afraid to go in. There might be a warning circuit somewhere.
Well, if we knew what those robots were working on, we could go to the authorities.
I'll risk it if you will.
All right, it's worth a chance. We're lost anyway.
Okay. Open the door. So far, so good.
Come on. Let's take a look at that data.
But don't interfere with the robots.
Don't worry. Here, let's look at this screen. Listen to this. Tests in the 47K12 group with Marlin cigarettes pulled 80% using the soft feminine approach. Indications are that an extension of this approach would influence at least 70% nationwide. The direct elevator pitch pulled only 10%. They should be abandoned and a new series of high persuasion personal elements introduced. Henry, do you know what this means?
I haven't the faintest idea.
I don't blame you. This is crazy, but it fits the facts when I think about it. Do you know who's behind this?
Martians?
No, not Martians, Henry. Humans.
What?
Humans who are interested in developing the perfect propaganda machine.
What?
I don't know who they are or how they've done it, but somehow they've taken Tylertown over.
Hypnosis,
drugs, maybe some kind of array or something. However they do it, what happens is that they let us live through a single day. During that day, they pour all kinds of suggestions and propaganda into us. At the end of the day, they evaluate the results, see how we've reacted. And at midnight, they wash the day out of our minds, and the next morning we start the same day over again with different stimuli. Do you know what that means, Henry? Suppose one man learned how to influence people 100%. Why, in a year, he could sell us anything from freezers to political candidates.
Oh, wait a minute.
We're guinea pigs, Henry. This whole community is one big test tube for Dorchin's propaganda research.
Burkhardt, what do we do?
I don't know, but somehow we've got to get out of this town and get to the FBI.
What do you think we can?
It's worth a try. Come on.
Wait.
Huh? What is it?
Look through the door. There's somebody coming down the tunnel.
You've got to hide.
Behind the circuit box. Wait.
Good Lord, it's Dorchin, the head of the Research Institute.
Quiet.
All right, Burkhardt, come out. We know you're in this room. Miss Horn has informed us that you remember. I must warn you that it's useless to buck us. Come out peacefully. Let our maintenance crew adjust you properly so you don't remember from one experiment to the next. It will be quite painless. If you don't come out peacefully, we'll have to get you.
Henry, take this wrench. When I give the word, jump him.
But he may be armed.
Well, we've got nothing to lose.
Very well. I'm coming after you.
Now! Burkhardt, I killed him.
Oh, wait. Get his coat unbuttoned. Maybe his heart is still beating.
Henry! What is it? What's wrong?
Look underneath his coat.
Heaven help us.
It's a robot. A humanoid robot designed to look like Dorchin.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Wait.
What's that?
It's a loudspeaker.
I told you it was useless, gentlemen.
Who are you?
Mr. Dorchin, naturally. The real Mr. Dorchin.
What are you trying to do to us?
Merely trying to prevent you from damaging my experiment, gentlemen.
You can't get away with this, Dorchin. Sooner or later, somebody, the FBI or somebody, is going to get wind of this madness.
Really, Burkhardt, you're quite naive. Now, why not be reasonable and let the maintenance crews adjust you?
And if I refuse, I suppose you'll kill me.
That would be quite impossible.
Oh?
You see, Burkhardt, you're already dead.
Dead?
You're shocked. It's quite true. You and everyone else in this town were killed by a premature atomic blast at the Condro chemical plant. The blast occurred at 7 a.m. on June 15th. That is the last thing imprinted on your minds. That is why you wake up screaming each morning.
No, it isn't true.
But it is. What I and my associates did was take the brain circuits from your dead bodies. We stored them in electrochemical batteries till we had a chance to rebuild the cities and begin our tests.
Do you think I believe a fantastic tale like that?
I imagine you find it incredible. Of course, we didn't rebuild everything exactly. After all, it only has to last for a single day, June 15th. At midnight, we turn off the power and wash out the memory of the day. You and your friend Swanson, unfortunately, have defective circuits. You remember.
Burkhardt, it's no use. We're trapped. Give up.
No, not me.
What can we do?
We can make a run for it down the tunnel. Come on.
It's useless, Burkhardt.
Keep going.
It's useless. Useless. Useless.
Now, this door is open. It opens. Oh, no. No, I don't believe it. Swanson, look.
They were standing on a ledge of smooth, finished metal. At their feet, the ledge dropped away into a chasm so deep they could not see the bottom. Beyond was only a glare so bright that their eyes could not stand to look into it. And yet, just at the limit of their vision, something towered. Something so huge it was almost inconceivable. Something.
Burkhardt?
Yes?
This is Dorchin. Now do you understand why it's useless?
The great looming figure moved closer. It seemed to take shape now, and yet it was so gigantic as to be unbelievable. It came closer. The glare was partially blocked. And then, Guy Burkhardt knew that the towering shape was none other than Dorchin himself.
You see how I did it, Burkhardt? I took your brain circuits and had them reduced so they could be transferred to tiny humanoid mannequins. That's what you are, Burkhardt. A tiny miniature of yourself. And this city, this whole experiment I'm conducting, is built on a tabletop.
It was the morning of June 15th, and Guy Burkhardt woke up out of a dream screaming.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features another story by tonight's author, Frederick Pohl. It's the second installment of his novel, Slave Ship. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
On Euclidia, the magic island of the South Seas, events are moving very rapidly. Johnson's boat has arrived and been captured. Jerry and Joan have been in the chemical laboratory and watched the exploding gas from Captain Bradford's trick formula put the Euclidean scientists, including G47, to sleep. Now, Jerry and Joan are back on Mrs. Gregory's yacht, where it is lashed to Johnson's boat. Jerry is running a little portable power saw on the deck of the yacht to cover up the noise of the pumps transferring oil to Johnson's boat for the escape attempt. Joan is with her mother in the radio cabin.
J24Y to Wilmington. Patricia Gregory to the Gregory Relay Station. Hello, Wilmington. J24Y to Wilmington. Hello. Hello.
I cannot understand, Mother dear, why they do not answer you.
I understand it, Joan, and I don't expect them to answer me.
Why not, Mother?
For one reason, they can't possibly hear me. We're 4,000 miles from the California coast, and with our broken aerial and this set not working properly, we're lucky if we can be heard 400 miles, let alone 4,000.
Then how does it help us any to keep calling? And your messages sound so strange. I do not understand much of your plan, I think.
Well, I haven't much of a plan, dear. What I'm trying to do is keep the Euclideans in the radio chambers busy worrying about these messages. As long as they think our position is hopeless here and that we're frantically calling for help, they won't suspect how nearly ready we are to try and escape.
But what about Mr. Johnson? Will he be hearing these messages and acting on them to help you?
I hope so, dear, though it's rather difficult to put much of value to him in the messages. However, he'll be listening to all of them, as long as he's within range of this transmitter at least. And when we actually run away from here, he may be able to figure some way to meet us before our fuel gives out.
I'm so afraid, Mother dear, that these Euclideans will discover you have cut holes in the two boats and are transferring the oil from this yacht to Johnson's cruiser.
They may not. Jerry's making a very convincing job of sawing on that mast out there. The noise will cover the sound of the pumps are making, and unless some of the Euclideans actually swim in between the boats, as you and Jerry did, I don't think they'll see the holes. They're so near the waterline.
I would like to go out on the deck and see what is happening now.
You'd better not, dear. Jerry and the captain will be busy trying to answer the questions of that Euclidean guard. You'd only add to the confusion if you went out there.
What if the guard should discover the plans to use the other boat in escaping?
Joan, dear, don't be so pessimistic. If those things happen, they'll simply have to happen. Now, I'll use the radio again and see if I can think of something which might give Johnson an idea as to our real position here. J24Y calling Wilmington. Gregory Yacht to Relay Station. Relay this to Gregory Land Station at Wilmington. Both boats powerless. Held captive at latitude 29 degrees south. Longitude 124 degrees 30 minutes west. Impossible attempt escape. No fuel for boats.
Oh, the captain.
Yes, Joan, and I've got some good news for you.
What is it, Tex?
Go right on with your sending, Pat. This can wait until you get your message out.
I wasn't sending anything of value, Tex. Just trying to find a way to let Johnson know something definite about our plans and the situation here.
Well, after we figure a little on what I've got now, maybe it will be easier to get a message to Johnson that he will understand.
You have discovered something of value to us, Captain Bradford?
I think so. That Euclidean who came aboard just now and put Jerry and me through a cross-examination didn't have any idea that the gas explosion in the laboratory was anything more than an accident. He wanted to know if that had ever happened to me when I was working on the formula.
You think they were really deceived about it?
No doubt of it. They don't even suspect that the formula was deliberately prepared to put them to sleep.
I can believe that is possible, as the Euclidean chemists were all in the laboratory at the time, and they would be the only ones on the island with enough knowledge of chemistry to suspect anything about the formula.
Right, Joan, and as long as these chemists stay asleep, we won't have any trouble over that.
But the man who came and talked to you, he must have had something definite in mind. What did he question you about?
He wanted to know if I had an antidote for the action of the gas. If I couldn't go to the laboratory and revive these men some way.
Of course you will not do it, Captain.
You bet I won't. And I couldn't even if I wanted to. There's nothing I ever heard of that'll bring these men out of their little nap.
How long will the effects last?
Oh, several hours. At least until after dark. The minute it's dark, we've got to make our break for the open.
But how will we ever get that boat of Johnson's out through the pier opening and away from the island without being heard?
There is often a brisk wind from the south in the evening. Could you sail that boat out, Captain?
That's what I'm figuring on trying. They'd hear the motors.
I wonder if the batteries in Johnson's boat are in shape to handle the radio.
I imagine they're pretty dead after dragging that boat around, but we'll move our batteries over there after dark.
Oh, Captain, listen. The noise has stopped.
Yeah, so it has. That means the oil's all transferred to the other boat, and Jerry can quit sewing on that mast.
Well, Jerry, did you finish with the mast?
Yes, Mrs. Gregory. And I wanted to ask you about that, Tex.
What is it, Jerry?
Don't you think it'd be a good idea for me to go right ahead and set that short mast into place, then rig up the radio aerial again? It'll give these fellows an idea we're planning on staying on this boat, if they're watching us.
I think that would be very wise, Jerry.
Oh, you would think so. Easy enough for you to sit here and think things are wise for me to do. Have you ever tried pushing a mast around?
Why, no, Jerry.
Then come on out with me. You're going to learn how to do it.
Now, Jerry, that work will be too hard for Joan.
Oh, I don't want her to work. I just want her to sit there and watch me do it, so she can tell me how good I am when I get it done.
Well, if you need moral support, go right ahead, Jerry, and take Joan with you. I'm going to stay here with Pat for a while and try to figure out how to get an intelligent message to Johnson.
Come on, Joan. You can boss the job while I work on the mast.
You must both be very careful out there.
We will, Mother, and I will see that Jerry does a good job. Now I want to see what you have done, Jerry.
I'll show that to you later. Just now I've got another idea in my mind. Come on around behind this cabin.
But, Jerry, what do you...
Now, don't ask me now. Wait till we get around here. There. Now, this ought to do.
For what?
Wait till I get a chance to tell you. Now, first, we've got this radio cabin between us and the island, right?
Of course, Jerry. That is obvious.
Never mind the cracks. Just answer my questions. Now, that cabin is all lined with that Euclidean soundproof cloth. All the way around, isn't it?
Precisely.
Hey.
I am sorry. I mean, certainly it is.
Then, if we stand here, with that cabin between us and the island, can we talk without anyone on the island hearing us?
Yes, Jerry. I am sure that is possible. Of course, we will have to watch for anyone on the other pier over there.
Oh, I know that. We'll have to watch all around and up and down. But what I want to know, is there any way for their sound beams from the central control chamber on the island to pick up what we say from here?
No, Jerry. We will be safe with this insulated cabin between us and the instruments.
Swell. Now listen, I've got an idea. And it's something I didn't dare tell your mother and Tex because they wouldn't let us try it. But I think you and I can put it over.
Is it something dangerous, Jerry?
Plenty. But it's just as good as it is dangerous. And it's a swell chance to make sure we get off this island tonight.
Oh, Jerry, what is it? I will help you, no matter how dangerous it might be.
Atta girl, Joan. I knew you'd be with me. But we've got to be mighty careful that Captain Bradford or Mrs. Gregory don't find out anything about it.
Then we must speak very quietly, Jerry. They might hear us through this cabin wall.
But you said the cloth would keep them from that.
Not exactly, Jerry. The cloth would keep sound from being recorded in the control room. But if we spoke loudly enough, our voices might be heard through this thin wall. Not what we said, of course. But if they heard our voices here, when we should be on the other side of the boat working on that mast, they might come out to see who it was.
Right, Joan. We'll take it easy.
Now tell me what it is. You must have some plan which you and I can work out.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Listen. Oh, boy, that's swell. The skipper and Mac are working on that mast now. Tex will think it's me, and he won't come out looking for me.
But hurry, Jerry, your plan.
Well, I'll tell you, Joan. It's mighty dangerous, for you as well as me. And you don't have to go for it if you don't want to.
Why, Jerry, do you not realize that I want to do everything you do and go with you at all times? I am afraid of nothing, Jerry, if you and I are to try it together.
Atta baby, Joan. Atta baby.
I know what that means now, Jerry. It means
Never
that...
mind that now. You're a swell girl, Joan, but your English is terrible. Forget it and listen to the plan.
Of course, Jerry.
Well, to begin with, my plan's only good if you know a whole lot about this island. I mean, where the main switches are that control all the electricity on the island. Where the one room is where the most damage would be done if anything happened to that room. And where the men are that would have to watch out for most.
You want a good deal, Jerry. But I think I can help you with all of it.
Okay. Now, here's one other thing. How far can we walk on that island without getting stopped? I mean, how close can we get to any of the important rooms?
I think with the chemists all asleep in the laboratory, the other Euclideans will be rather uncertain in their conduct. We may find the watches very lax.
Well, now here's what we've got to do. Captain Bradford is planning on trying to sail Johnson's boat out after dark. And your mother is trying to get a message to Johnson that will let him know we'll be on the high seas without any fuel in the boat. Now, all that's all right, but I'm afraid Tex is leaving too much to chance here. Even if most of those guys are asleep, there'll be plenty of Euclideans who know how to handle those big ray guns and the submarines and all. And even without old G-47, I got a hunch somebody on that island is going to have sense enough to stop that boat before we get very far.
That is what I think, Jerry. But Mother and the captain will not let me talk that way.
I know that, but this is something they won't know anything about until it's all over. You and I are going to take a crack at wrecking a couple of the most important places on the island.
You mean we will attempt to destroy certain valuable nerve centers in the island mechanism in order to guarantee their improper function when the time arrives to attack our boat?
No, I mean we'll bust up a few of the things they can't use and stop us.
That is exactly what I said, Jerry.
Didn't sound the same to me. Anyway, just before dark tonight, you and I are going to leave this boat. We'll take a walk on the island, and when we get back to the boat, we'll have a mighty good chance of getting away from here.
Unless we are caught, Jerry, then we will not get away at all.
Yeah, I guess that's right. But we'll try it just the same. Now, we'd better get out on deck there and act like we'd been working on that mast.
You are right, Jerry. We must appear to have been very busy, so the captain and my mother will not be alarmed.
Yeah. I don't hear any noise around there. I guess they've got the mast set up again. Hey, stop, Joan.
What is it, Jerry?
One more thing we've got to do tonight, and it's the first thing. We've got to get our hands on one of those ray guns.
I will take care of that, Jerry. I have one for each of us.
You what? Where did you get them?
When we pretended to faint in the laboratory, I fell very close to the commander. When we left, I had both of her ray guns hidden in my dress.
Joan, you're swell.
I know it.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Publisher John Grayson has again fallen victim to the ugly schemes of Rufus Pelley, the warmonger, who would stop at nothing to crush the hope of world peace.
Hello there, gang. This is your pal Dan McCullough. Say, do you know why opening a package of Kellogg's Pep is like going on a treasure hunt? Why, it's because there's always an exciting prize inside each Pep package, and you never can tell what your next prize will be. For instance, it might be one of Pep's 18 slick comic buttons, bright-colored buttons, each picturing one of your favorite comic strip characters. Or your next Pep prize might be a model of a famous fighting plane, one of 7 thrilling plane models in the series, all made of colored cardboard, easy and fun to assemble. Or you might find a beautiful full-color bird picture from a series of 24, each with a description on the reverse side so you can name and know any of these birds when you see them. And any one of these 3 swell kinds of prizes is only a part of the treasure you get in Kellogg's Pep. Think of the good, keen taste of those crisp flakes. Flakes that are light as a breeze and crammed with sunshine flavor. I mean, Pep's delicious, a prize in itself. Every tempting spoonful coaxes you on because it tastes so terrific. Yes, sir, a bowl of Pep with cool milk and sugar is just about the swellest summer dish I know for breakfast. So get going on the treasure hunt that starts with every Pep package. Today, ask Mom for Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Now, the Adventures of Superman. Because the aim of the World Peace Federation is to prevent wars, Rufus Pelley, a greedy munitions manufacturer who profits from war, schemed to wreck the organization by poisoning public opinion against it. To accomplish this, he ordered Homer Smith, his secret agent, to blackmail John Grayson, publisher of the Daily Planet, and so obtained control of the great paper. Then, when editor Perry White tried to block Smith from attacking the Peace Federation in the Planet, he mysteriously disappeared. Clark Kent finally persuaded the frightened Grayson to help him lay a trap for Smith, hoping the man would lead him to Perry White. But Smith, suspicious, consulted Pelley, who sent a counter-trap. And that evening, Kent and Police Inspector Henderson were lured away from Grayson's house by a false report of an accident to Lois Lane. When Kent rushed back to the publisher's house, the butler told him that Grayson had been taken away by 2 men claiming to be police officers. As we continue now at Grayson's door, Kent demands,
Did they take Mr. Grayson away in a police car?
Why, yes, they... Good heavens. I just remembered, Mr. Kent.
What?
Our police cars are painted blue and cream.
Yes?
This car was maroon.
Uh-oh. What make car was it? Did you notice?
No, sir, I didn't. I was so upset, you see.
Well, did you notice whether it was a sedan or a coupe?
Well, it was a sedan. I remember that.
Maroon sedan, eh? All right, now think carefully, Phillips. Which way did the car turn when it left the driveway?
To the left, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. I stood outside the door here looking after it. When it reached the foot of the lane below our grounds, it turned left into River Drive.
Good for you. Now get this. I want you to phone police headquarters at once.
Yes, sir.
Tell them what happened. Describe the car, and tell them I suggest they put out an alarm for it at once. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hurry now. Go into the house and call headquarters at once.
Yes, sir.
Now to get out of these clothes. Uh-oh, here comes Henderson's car. I better see him as Superman, I guess. Back of these bushes. And out of these street clothes.
Henderson, I'll have to work fast. And if I'm right, we'll break this case tonight or never. There we are, all set. And just in time. Here's Henderson. Inspector!
Oh, who's that, Kent? Great Jehoshaphat. Superman.
That's right. Listen, Inspector.
Hey, what are you doing here? What happened?
Mr. Grayson was taken away in a car by two men.
What?
While you and while you and Clark Kent were at the Flower Ridge Hospital. My hunch says they were Homer Smith men.
Why, sure. That phony call about Miss Lane was to get Kent and me away from the house so they could grab Grayson.
Yes, and force him to let them use the Daily Planet to sabotage the World Peace Federation.
Now, wait a minute. How did you know about all this?
I've been in closer touch with this case than you know, Inspector. And I'm convinced this whole rotten business is a plot against the Peace Federation. So I'm doing everything I can to make the Federation succeed.
Oh, well, go on. You say Grayson was taken away?
In a maroon sedan. It turned left on River Drive. I'm going after it. You want to come along?
You bet I do. Oh, just wait till I radio headquarters and get an alarm out for that car.
I've already taken care of that. Come on, up under my arm.
You mean I'm going to fly with you?
Right, and without a parachute. You want to back out?
Are you kidding? I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, here we go then. Up, up, and away!
Boy, talk about your rocket plane. When you travel, you really go places, Superman.
Faster than a patrol car, eh, Inspector?
That's a joke, son. Oh, see anything of a maroon sedan?
No, not yet.
Do you see it yet?
No.
Then why are you slowing?
That's the Metropolis Bridge down there.
Oh, what?
Well, the bridge is at least 30 minutes from Mr. Grayson's house by fast car. And there are police officers on it. I don't think our friends would stay with the maroon sedan that long.
Why not?
They know that as soon as you and Kent got to the hospital and learned you'd been tricked, you'd go back to Grayson's house, find out what happened, and put out an alarm for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. They probably had another car waiting for them someplace. They ditched the maroon sedan and go on the other car.
Right. But if they've already swapped cars, they didn't do it on River Drive.
Well, how do you know?
Because I examined every car we passed and didn't see Mr. Grayson.
Oh, then where do we go from here?
Well, there are only 3 highways intersecting River Drive between Grayson's house and the bridge.
Only 3?
That's right.
Well, how do you expect
You forget I can move pretty fast. We'll sweep over those highways for 15 or 20 miles in each direction. If there's a car on any of them with John Grayson in it, take my word that we'll find it. Hang on. Now you're really going to see some speed. Away!
Carrying Inspector Henderson, Superman streaks back above River Drive, then angles off the first highway to sweep above it for 20 miles, then back in the other direction for another 20 miles. Then he repeats this procedure over the second highway and over the third. When he fails to spot a car carrying Publisher Grayson, he begins to range in great circles, flashing over side lanes and little-used roads. But after 2 hours, his search is still fruitless. But meanwhile, on the magnificent island estate of Rufus Pelly, the munitions magnate has just pushed John Grayson and Perry White into the circular glass-walled turret study atop the great stone house on the sea. Grayson's face is cut and bruised. His clothing is torn, but his jaw is set as stubbornly as is Perry White's. Seated in a deep chair, Pelly looks up at them coldly.
Now, gentlemen.
Now, you look here, Pelly. You can't get away with this, holding me a prisoner, abducting John Grayson. Those are capital offenses, and you'll go to the chair for it just as sure as my name is Perry White.
Please, Mr. White, you're very tiresome.
No, I'm tiresome, am I? Well, let me tell you...
You tell me nothing. You've each had 15 minutes to consider my proposition. What's your answer?
You call that a proposition? Why, you money-greedy rat, you cold-blooded murderer. If you think you can make me knuckle under...
Shut up.
Oh, you big gorilla. I ought to...
Easy, Mr. Grayson. Next time, you go on be so gentle.
By George Pelly, you and your gorilla are both going to...
Sit down, White. Oh, stop being a fool. Now, gentlemen, my time is limited. You, Mr. Grayson, I told you that I purchased all outstanding shares in the Daily Planet. I now own 49% of the stock. If you sell me 2 more shares, I'll own the controlling interest.
Why, you...
In exchange for that, I'll guarantee you and White your freedom.
Don't listen to him, John. He's bluffing. He knows if we get out of here, we'll send him to the chair.
Not at all. My tracks are well covered. I'll say you came here of your own free will to arrange the sale of the Daily Planet. You have my word that I'll release you the moment I have those 2 shares of stock.
Your word? You think we're fools enough to take the word of a warmonger, a cold-blooded murderer? You want the planet so that you can sabotage the World Peace Federation, the only hope in the world for peace.
Right. You want more wars so it can make more dirty millions out of selling munitions.
No, let him alone, Hugo. Of course I want wars, Mr. White. There will always be wars, and my business
There doesn't have to be wars. Not if we'll all get together, all of us in all countries, and talk our differences over in mutual trust and friendship. The World Peace Federation stands for that. And not you nor any other mass murderer is going to sabotage it.
Right, Perry. I was a fool to let this man scare me in the first place. I'm with you all the way now.
Good for you, John.
Have you forgotten, Mr. Grayson, that I still have all the letters and checks and the forged documents, which, if turned over to the FBI, will indict you as a traitor to your country?
Go ahead and turn them over. I'll take my chances in the court of justice.
That's telling him, John.
Is that your final answer, Grayson?
That's my final answer. I won't sell out the Peace Federation to try to save my own skin.
Very well, gentlemen. I'm sure Mrs. Grayson will sell me 2 shares of stock from her widow's estate to keep her dead husband from being branded a traitor in every newspaper in the country.
Why, you? Her dead husband.
Exactly, sir. You see, you and Mr. White have both just signed your own death warrants. Take them away, Hugo.
Pale but unflinching, Perry White and John Grayson obey the giant Hugo's gesture to precede him through the door. We'll learn what happens in a moment when we return for the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
You know, if every home in the country could be wired for sound these summer mornings, you'd hear a big chorus of compliments come breakfast time from the thousands of homes where Kellogg's Pep heads the menu. Things like, "Gee, Mom, is this super?" Or, "Brother, Pep wins by a cool mile." Because Kellogg's Pep with cool milk and sugar is that kind of dish, those flakes of pep are crisp and light, all golden to look at, and full up with keen sunshine flavor. A golden toasted flavor that brings your appetite wide awake in a jiffy. And say, speaking of wide awake, will your eyes open wide when you see the exciting prize in every Pep package? A prize that's always a swell surprise. For instance, could be a model fighting plane in colored cardboard, one of 7 great Pep planes you can collect. Or could be one of 24 new full-color bird pictures with a description on the reverse side so you can identify these birds in the air. Or could be one of 18 bright-colored comic buttons picturing a famous funnies character like Smokey Stover or Smitty or even Superman. So, gang, start collecting all 3 kinds of these wonderful Pep prizes. Today, ask Mom to bring home Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
As Rufus Pelly was condemning Perry White and John Grayson to death, Superman, carrying Inspector Henderson, is still searching for them from the air. Twice they have contacted police headquarters to discover that the maroon sedan in which John Grayson was taken from his house has not yet been found. Now they are hovering above a narrow, dark street which has only a few houses on it and which ends at the river.
We might as well face it, Superman. Those fellows got away with Grayson.
Right, you're right, Inspector. What happened to their maroon sedan? They must have left it someplace nearby. They wouldn't have risked driving more than a few minutes in it.
Well, my men will pick it up eventually.
We can't wait. That car is our only clue to Grayson and Perry White. And if we don't find them tonight, I don't think we'll ever find them.
I shouldn't have listened to Kent this afternoon.
Why?
I should have picked up Homer Smith. He knows where White is. Now Healy says he can't be found either.
I don't think you'd have gotten anything out of Smith. He's a smooth article. If only... Wait a minute. Let's have a look at that.
What? Hey, where are you going?
The guardrail at the end of the street is broken. See?
Where?
Over there.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if any car crashed through that, well, it would just be too bad. The next stop is the river.
That's just what I'm thinking. Yes, there it is.
Huh? There what is?
There's a car at the bottom of the river, Inspector. A sedan. And I think it's the one we're looking for.
Eagerly, Superman gazes down through the dark waters of the Metropolis River to where a sedan rests on the muddy bottom. Is it the maroon sedan in which Rufus Pelly's men took John Grayson away? And if it is, will it furnish Superman the clue he needs to locate White and Grayson in time to save their lives and to catch the warmonger who is conspiring to wreck the World Peace Federation? Tomorrow's episode brings us closer to the stirring climax of our story. So don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal. Say, gang, here's a famous name that brightens up your breakfast. It's Kellogg, the greatest name in cereals. Kellogg, as in Kellogg shredded wheat. What a treat. Tender, plump biscuits full up with natural nut-sweet flavor and toasted just right for extra crispness. But that's not all. Kellogg shredded wheat biscuits are just the right size, made to fit the bowl. And there are 15 biscuits in every package, each one full of swell whole wheat nourishment. Ask Mom to get you some Kellogg shredded wheat. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
You are trapped in the dank darkness of a ruined plantation house, and somewhere in the pitch-black room is a homicidal maniac armed with a knife, groping for you, trying to prevent your escape.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson, directed tonight by Richard Sanville, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a deserted sandpit off the coast of Georgia, where terror stalks under the Spanish moss, as Joseph Hergesheimer tells it in Wild Oranges.
What could have appeared more innocent of danger than that barren, low-lying shore of southern Georgia? What could have seemed less laden with terror than that lovely little cove, so tranquil and well-sheltered, so warmly bathed in late afternoon sun as we dropped the anchor of our ketch and prepared our mooring? And yet there was something. First it was an odor of a grove of wild orange trees in late bloom, growing defiantly amid the tangled undergrowth of the shore. The scent was strong and exotic and heady, and as I smelled it, I felt a vague uneasiness. Then as I watched the shore and Halvard, sole member of my crew, furled the sails, the mirror of the cove was shattered by a movement. First I thought it was a fish leaping and playing in the water. It came round a spit of land from an inner bay, and then Halvard was beside me.
That's queer, sir.
Huh?
I would have bet there was nobody within miles of here. But there's someone swimming.
Huh? Yes. It's a girl.
Aye. She'll be surprised when she discovers us, no doubt.
And embarrassed. Oh, she swims well, doesn't she? As if she's been born in the water.
Ah, yeah, does she seen us?
Yes. Now she's running away. That sprint would win an Olympic race. Wonder what she's doing here, where she comes from.
Perhaps there.
Where?
Through the trees. There's a house. You can hardly see it. I spotted it a moment ago.
Oh, yes, so there is. Oh, but it's a ruin. It's rotting away. No one could have lived in that since the Civil War.
Well, there may be others back there.
Yes, but this coast is deserted. Marked as swamp on the chart.
Well, I don't know, sir.
It's strange. Very strange. Yes, it was strange. And stranger still was this vague uneasiness I felt. As twilight fell, the aroma of the wild oranges was overpowering. Suddenly, without knowing why, I slipped on a jacket, went to the side and dropped into the tender. Halvard stood by to cast off. He asked no questions, and I said nothing. What could I say? I didn't know myself why I was going. I pulled the tender up on the soft sand of the beach and walked up a dim path through the orange grove. The scent of the blossoms was full of such wild sweetness that I picked an orange and tasted it. It was bitter, but of a pungence that was new and rare and strangely delicious. The dim moonlight only accentuated the ruin of the house. There were other smaller, ramshackle buildings scattered about, overgrown with weeds and creeping vines. This had once been a great plantation. Now it lay still and lifeless. Then I saw the light. Round the side were a smaller portico held off the weeds. A single doorway was framed in the pale light of an inner lamp. As I approached, I saw a shadow move across it, so swiftly, so furtively, that it was gone before I realized it had been a man. Then I saw her, sitting on the portico, rocking softly in her chair.
What do you want?
Nothing. When I came ashore, I thought no one was living here.
You're from the white boat that sailed in at sunset?
Yes, and I'm returning immediately.
It was like magic. Suddenly, without a sound, You were anchored in the bay.
I've robbed you, too. Some of your oranges are in my pocket.
You won't like them. They've run wild. We can't sell them.
They have a distinct flavor of their own. I should be glad to have some on my boat.
All you want.
My man will get them and pay you.
Please, don't. Oh, Nicholas attends to that. Well, won't you sit down? My father was here when you came up, but he went in. Strangers trouble him.
Oh, I should be getting back. I'm sorry to have disturbed you and your father.
No, it was nothing.
Good night, then.
Good night.
That was all. Fragment of commonplace conversation. But it was enough. Now the uneasiness I felt, the strangeness of this place took shape for me. I saw it in her lovely, fragile face. I heard it in her voice. There'd been a hidden terror, a terrible, controlled fright that approached hysteria. There'd been a warning in it, and something else, a plea. By the time I got back to the boat, I was completely unnerved, and Halbert made matters worse.
You find anything, sir?
There are people living there.
Well, there'll be water then. Maybe we could stay here a couple of days, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, this is good anchorage, sir. I'd like to unship the propeller, and the topside could do with a coat of varnish.
No, we're going on south.
Aye, sir.
No, wait, Halbert. Of course, you're right. We need a couple of days' work before we head into blue water. We'll do it here. And so we stayed. In the light of morning, the strange dread I felt seemed foolish, and especially when I went ashore and found the girl looking young and fresh and fragile, fishing off the little pier in the inner bay. She had a pathetic little rod and line, so I got our tackle from the boat and landed a big rockfish for her, enough for several dinners. We were carrying the fish to the house when we came on a pale, thin ghost of a man sitting on the portico. He started a swift retreat, but too late.
Father, wait. This is my father, Litchfield Stoop.
How do you do, sir?
Millie, you all know I can't. Strangers, they...
Father, you must manage yourself better. You know I wouldn't bring anyone to the house who would hurt us. And see, we're fetching you a splendid rockfish.
Oh, yes. So you are. We are all alone here, sir. The man is away, my daughter and I. The fish, yes, acceptable.
If you will carry it in for me. Nicholas would do it, but he's away. And the father isn't strong. This way. We have no ice. I must put it in water. In here, right there. Thank you. You've been very nice. Now I suppose you'll go on across the world.
Not tonight. We're staying here, making repairs.
Where do you come from? And where are you going?
From Cape Cod. I'm going to the Guianas.
Isn't that South America? I've traveled far. On maps. I was born here in this house, and I've never been 50 miles away.
Oh, that's incredible. You seem like a girl who's been everywhere in the world and had the best education, everything.
My father has many books in there, that's all.
Your eyes are remarkable. Gray-green, like olive leaves, and magnetic. I came ashore to ask you if you had a large water supply, and if I might fill my casks.
Of course. Rainwater, the cistern's full.
I'll send my man Halbert, then.
Yes.
There's something else in your eyes, in your voice. What is it? Fear?
Fear? Why, no, of course not. What should I be afraid of?
I don't know. But I saw it in your father's face, too.
It's only your imagination.
Yes, no doubt. Goodbye, then. Thank you for the fishing. Strange how this girl should upset me so. I tried to resist, but that evening I found myself going back to her. Tying the tender to the little pier, I watched as she came to meet me.
I'm glad you came. The fish waited...
Oh, don't tell me. I'd rather not know. I might be tempted to mention it in the future, and I'm sure it would sound like a fish story.
But it was imposing. Nicholas waited. He's our man. He's back. Let's stay here, by the sea. It's so lovely in the moonlight.
All right. Oh, it is nice here.
I lied to you today about fear. I suppose I am afraid. I suppose my father has passed some of his fear on to me.
Why is he afraid?
Well, that's a long story, going back to the first war.
Please tell me.
Well, he was a young man then, and he didn't go to war. It wasn't that he was a coward exactly,
He just couldn't adjust to it mentally. People mocked him, laughed at him, and threatened him. That's when a sort of perpetual fear started. He ran away. He met my mother and married her. They came here. None of us has ever left this lonely place. Never will, perhaps.
Your mother?
She's dead. Loneliness killed her. Perhaps it's no wonder that I sound timid or afraid. Perhaps I am.
Aren't you lonely, too?
I don't know anything else. But what about you? Who are you that you go sailing about the world with only your sailor for company?
Oh, I'm nobody. My name is John Woolfolk.
And you do nothing but sail about the world?
Nothing.
Why?
Well, let's say I don't like modern society. Let's say I don't like entanglements.
I see.
Oh, I didn't mean...
You needn't apologize. I envy you your freedom. I sit here a great deal and watch the ships far out there on their water roads. You are enviable. Sailing where you like. Safe and free. Safe and free.
There is something more than you've told me. More behind this fear in your voice.
No.
But perhaps I can help.
No, please.
What's that?
It's Nicholas! Blowing on the counter. I've got to go in.
I'll come with you.
No, please. No, don't come. You'll be going soon.
Tomorrow, perhaps.
Then, goodbye. Goodbye.
Now I knew the terror I'd only sensed was real. This girl was possessed by fear. This house held some terrible secret. What could it be? Next morning, Halvard suggested we repaint the engines, and I agreed. We'd stay another day or two. Later, Halvard went in to fill a cask of water. He came back without the cask and livid with rage.
There was some idiot in that house. Next time I'll take the pistol.
What do you mean? Where's the cask?
It was broken.
How?
It was filling it at the cistern, and this idiot, a huge hulking brute, came out of the house. He told me to get away. Well, I tried to explain that we had permission, but he came at me with a knife, gibbering. Well, I hit him, but it was like hitting an ox. He put his foot on the cask and crushed it.
I'll see about this.
You be careful, sir. The man's not right. He's dangerous. Plenty dangerous.
I went ashore and around to the back door of the house. Millie wasn't in sight, and when I knocked, a lumbering giant with pig-like eyes came to the door.
What do you want?
I take it you're Nicholas, the man who broke my water cask.
It was full of our water.
I'm not going to argue with you. I came ashore to instruct you to keep your hands off my property and my sailor.
Let our water be.
I told you I wouldn't discuss the matter. I don't have to justify myself to you. Just remember, keep your hands
Don't
off.
get me started.
What do you mean, started?
Yeah, don't get me started. Mind, I warned you. Don't put
down that knife.
Go away now. Don't get me started.
Stand
Go
back.
away. Don't get me started. I'm telling you.
Nicholas, stop. What is this? What's the matter?
Nothing. Nicholas and I have had a little misunderstanding, that's all. It's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about, I said. But when I got back to the boat, I couldn't help asking myself why I'd left her with that brute. I just about made up my mind to go ashore again to check up when I saw her waving on the beach. She wanted to visit the boat. I went and got her. There was no hint of terror in her face now, just shining, girlish wonderment at the polished metal and the gleaming wood of the ketch. I offered to take her for a sail, and her face lighted up like a child's. But when we reached the heavy swells outside the reef, her face got white, and she froze.
It's so big.
Are you frightened? I'll turn back.
I'd rather you didn't. I must learn. I'm not a child.
No, we're going back. Before we got to the anchorage, her panic was almost out of control. But safely moored once more, she calmed slowly and said,
How strange. To be forced back to this place I loathe by my own cowardice.
It's not cowardice. The sea is frightening to those unused to it. Come, you must forget it now. Halvard will have tea for us in a moment. How do you like our boat?
It's quite wonderful. Have you nothing else to care for? No place or people on land?
None.
And you're satisfied?
Hardly. All the things most men value were taken from me in an instant.
Can you talk about it?
Why, I haven't for 12 years. Not to anybody, but now, yes. I think I can. You see, we were just married. Only a few days. We were very, very happy. Then, in one instant, she was dead. It was a silly, stupid accident thrown from a horse, without rhyme or reason.
So you left everything, taking your revenge on the world.
You could put it that way, I suppose. I simply don't want to take a second chance to become involved and be hurt.
But that's living. To be hurt. Do you think you can escape so easily?
I don't know.
Oh, I must go. Father will be waiting.
Why so suddenly? There's... Oh, yes, I see. That's Nicholas on the beach looking out here, isn't it?
Yes. Dinner will be ready.
Why do you have a servant like that? That man's dangerous.
You mustn't say that. Please don't. Just take me in. Please.
Now I knew that she, too, was afraid of Nicholas. I could see it in her eyes. Why then did I let her go to him? I don't know. I was confused, I guess. That night a storm broke, a raging wind and rain, and to match my tortured mood. I hardly slept. Her face was always before my eyes, and by morning I knew that I must do something. I rode the tender in through a drizzling rain. I went up through the orange grove and stopped in the bushes by the house. Someone was coming out of the house, and I crouched down out of sight. It was Millie. I rose and called her. Millie!
Oh, it's you. I was just coming out to look. I was afraid you'd gone out. The sea is like a pack of wolves.
I won't go alone, not without you.
What are you saying? That's madness.
No, I've got to talk to you, Millie. There's a lot that needs explaining. Things that I have a right to know.
No, not here. Come.
She led me into one of the smaller ruined buildings. What must have been a store in the days of the Great Plantation. We crouched far back in the dripping shadows of a corner.
No.
Millie, I love you. For the first time in 12 years, I'm living again, and I love you.
I know nothing of love.
It's easily learned.
Well, perhaps if things were different, someplace else, I might care very much.
Then I'm going to take you away someplace else. Make things different. Give you the chance.
No. It's too late. You came too late.
Why, Millie? Why? What is it? What is it you fear?
Nicholas.
Oh, he's nothing. Nothing to be afraid of. Has he been bothering you?
He says he's crazy about me. He says I must marry him.
Where is he now?
No, you mustn't, John. Something frightful would happen.
Not frightful, just unfortunate for Nicholas.
You don't understand. He's not human. There's something about him.
What about him?
He came here in April. We were glad to get him. Servants are impossible to get back here in the wilderness. He would work for the smallest wages. Only a few days ago, I found out why he was glad to be here. I was cleaning his room, and I found this.
Let's see. Wanted for murder. Iscon Nicholas, homicidal maniac.
He knows I found it. He knows. And he's been furious. Then you came, and he ran and hid in the pines. But he told me if I spoke about it, then it would happen to me. And if I left with you, it would happen to Father. You see, he thinks I'm in love with you. He told me to send you away. He said you must leave today.
Millie, I should have realized.
He says I must not be away for longer than an hour. I must go.
Look, Millie, it'll take us a couple of hours to get the boat ready. I'll come for you tonight at 8. Now, tell him you saw me and I promised to go. And act quietly. Say you've been upset. You'll give him his answer tomorrow. Then at 8, bring your father and walk out to the wharf. That's all. But do it without hesitation or preparation.
Oh, don't let him hurt us. Oh, please don't.
Not now. He's finished, Millie. But do as I say. It won't be long, hardly 3 hours. And then, freedom. Now that I knew, now that there was to be action, I felt better. Halbert and I got the ketch ready for sailing, and 8 o'clock we tied it up to the little pier. The storm had abated slightly, but it was still raining. I got up on the dock and waited for Millie. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Something was wrong. I told Halbert to wait there with the tender. Then I walked slowly up to the house. It was dark. I went up to the side portico to the heavy door. Tiny crack of light showed under it. I pushed it open. The light came from a parlor to the right. I looked in. On the floor lay a body. Old Litchfield Stope. He was dead, crushed. His arm twisted grotesquely under him. There was not a sound in the house. Slowly I walked through the downstairs rooms. Nothing. And back in the hall I heard a slight creak. Upstairs someone had moved. Was it Millie, alive? Or Nicholas, lying in wait? I groped slowly up the stairs. I dared not use my flashlight. It would have made me a target for his knife. The upstairs hall was pitch black, and still there was no sound. I inched my way along the wall, slowly. Then I stumbled on a loose board. The pistol flew out of my hand, but the stumble saved my life. The same instant I felt Nicholas lunge. Heard the knife sing past my ear and thud into the wall. Felt his great bulk smashing on my shoulder. My gun was somewhere on the dark floor. His knife was embedded in the wall. Now we were grappling hand to hand, rolling on the floor, kicking, tearing, gouging, crushing. My strength and wit against the massive bulk of a maniacal killer. How many minutes did that unequal struggle last? I don't know. It seemed an hour. Several times, as if by common consent, we rested for minutes at a time, locked in tight embrace. Once we rolled apart and lay panting, the breath aching in my throat. Then I heard him groping along the wall, searching for the knife or the gun. I threw myself on him again, but he was too big, too furious. I felt my strength ebbing away. His fingers were closing over my throat. With one last effort, I tried to throw him off, to roll him over. I staggered dazedly to my feet and looked up. He'd fallen through the banister down the stairwell. Nicholas had landed on the bottom. He lay there on the stairs, sprawled, his head at a grotesque angle. But he was not dead, only stunned. I leaned against the wall, looked at him stupidly. There was something I was trying to remember. What was it? Then she came down the steps, and I remembered. Millie.
I had to walk right past him. There was no other way. Right past his head and my skirt. I think we better go away. It's quite impossible here with him in the hall where you have to pass so close.
Millie, yes, we'll leave at once.
I must tell you about my father. You know, in Virginia, the women tied an apron on the door because he would not go to war, and that preyed on his mind, and he was afraid of the slightest thing.
Yes, I know, but we must go.
Things upset him so. He had no strength.
To hear him talk like this, like a sick child, was almost more than I could bear. But now I heard something. Nicholas had gotten up. He stood there and stared for a moment at us. Then he started slowly up the stairs. He was going for the knife.
This little thing upset him.
Millie, we've got to go.
I was to meet a man. We were going away someplace where it'd be peaceful. He said at 8 o'clock. But Nicholas suspected, you see. He asked why Father had put on his heavy winter clothes. Then when I tried to go out, he pushed me.
Millie.
And do you know what Father did then? He came up and he said, "Don't do that. Take your hands off my daughter." His lips shook a little, but he said it. That's the important thing.
Yes, of course. Your father was a brave man after all. Now, come, that man is waiting for you. There's no time to lose.
Father said, "Take your hands off my daughter." Nicholas killed him, of course. Crushed him like a little mosquito. But it was a brave thing to do.
I couldn't wait any longer. I had to risk whatever injury it might do to her mind. I could hear Nicholas coming back. I swept her up in my arms and carried her out into the night, down the path to the little pier. Behind me, I could hear Nicholas crashing through the brush like a giant animal in pursuit.
Are you all right, sir?
Yes, about done in, but all right. Here, help me get her in the boat.
Yes, sir. There. Yes. Somebody's coming.
It's Nicholas. He's got a knife.
Good. They wanted to get back at him. You get in, sir. I'll take care of him.
Halbert went to intercept Nicholas on the path. I heard them meet and struggle for a moment. Then a stooped figure came walking slowly onto the pier. I prepared to shove the boat out into the water, and then...
All right, sir. It's me.
Oh, Halbert. Where's Nicholas?
They stopped him. He was all pumped out.
Are you hurt?
No, just a scratch. They missed his knife at first in the dark. It's nothing.
Good. Let's get away from here, then. I held Millie in my arms as Halbert rowed to the catch erratically, I suppose, because of the storm. We were ready to cast off in 2 minutes. The last obstacle would be the narrow passing out of the cove. In this storm, it would be dangerous, very dangerous. I started to take Millie into the cabin.
No! There's Nicholas! In the doorway!
Nonsense. Nicholas is dead. You're on my boat, Millie. You're safe, Millie.
Safe? With John Woolfolk?
I am John Woolfolk.
But you didn't come.
Yes, I did, Millie. And you're safe. Come.
I want to stay here.
All right. You sit here beside Halvard. I'm going up front to take soundings.
In this van, you won't be able to hear me if I call.
No, but you can hear me. Remember, we've only 3 feet clearance. You'll have to hold it steady through the passage.
Oh, I'll manage it.
Halvard, this is no time for pretense. How do you feel?
All right. I've taken knives before. Just a scratch.
All right, we'll fix it as soon as we get outside. Now let's go. Turn over the engines. Pull up anchor. The boat headed into the tearing wind of the storm, sped swiftly toward the narrow inlet. A foot too far on either side, and we would hit. In this sea, that would mean death for us all. I stood far up on the bow, taking soundings, feeling out the passage. Fore! The howling wind carried my call back to Halvard. The boat veered. I realized he must have lost a lot of blood. Halvard! Halvard, steady her! Slowly, haltingly, it came around. 3.5! Steady now! But it was anything but steady. The boat waved and swung as if an amateur hand were on the wheel. In a moment, we might hit. 3.25! We were in the passage. Hold steady, Halvard! Steady! For just another moment. Just one moment. 3.5! We're through! Good boy, Halvard! Good boy, Halvard, I called. But when I went back, it was not Halvard at the wheel. It was Millie. Millie, her hands steady, her eyes washed clear of any madness. Millie with a tight little smile on her face, but no fear. And Halvard lay rolling with the swells in the bottom of the cockpit.
I'm afraid he's dead, John. He was wounded worse than you thought.
Halvard dead?
He told me to take the wheel. Said it was life or death. Then he slid down like that.
When? When was this?
Back there in the passage. Just when you said 3.5. I'm afraid I wasn't very good. But I held on.
Oh, Millie, you were wonderful.
No, not yet. But I'll learn, John. I'll learn.
Escape is produced by William N. Robeson and was directed tonight by Richard Sanville. You have just heard Wild Oranges by Joseph Hergesheimer, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Paul Frees as John Woolfolk, Jeanette Nolan as Millie Stopes, Bill Conrad as Halvard, Jack Crucian as Nicholas, and Sherry Hall as Litchfield Stopes. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fuhrer. Next week...
You've planned it very well. She's dead, and you feel no remorse. Your escape has worked out perfectly. There's nothing to worry about. Except, perhaps, an unexpected Christmas present.
Next week, we escape with John Collier's grim story, Back for Christmas. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's Chocolate Bars now present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, a criminal scientist has discovered a method of traveling back through time. He has taken Buzz and Happy back 14 centuries and has left them on a desolate seacoast on the planet Earth.
I just can't realize that we're back in the year 1591.
Let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
And we're stuck here in the past forever?
Well, Hap, there's one slight chance of getting back.
Yeah? Well, what is it, sir? Commander, I feel strange. Everything's going black. What's that sound?
You like him?
Commander! Hey, what's happening to us? Commander! Where are you?
We'll be back in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol story, The Time Pirates.
What's new?
Nestle's new.
Nestle's what?
Coconut.
Nestle's new coconut bar. That's for me. You have to eat one to believe there could be such a wonderful flavor combination. Just imagine. Thick, rich, smooth milk chocolate, crammed to the edges with fresh toasted coconut. It's such fun to eat, too, because it gets crisper with every bite. Care to add anything to that, Hap? Hap, get that happy with you, please answer.
Oh, golly, Commander, I'm sorry. You know what happens to me when you start talking about Nestle's new coconut bar? I just close my eyes and leave this planet. Yes, sir, I imagine I'm eating one right then and there. I can just taste that sensational, creamy, rich chocolate and all that super coconut. It's so crisp, so delicious, so... Whoops. There I go. Well, that's the way it is, Commander. And there's only one cure for it.
Well, what might that be?
Oh, I just got to eat a Nestle's coconut bar, of course.
Well, now, that seems like a good idea. For you, for me, for all Space Patrollers, too. Gang, why don't you find out for yourselves? Treat yourself to a brand new coconut bar. You'll really go for it.
Everybody goes for Nestle's, Commander. Wonderful milk chocolate, almond chocolate, and crunchy crunch bars. And naturally, the new coconut bar in the red and cream-colored wrapper. Smoking rockets, Nestle's certainly makes the very best chocolate.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Time Pirates. Roaring toward the outer reaches of the solar system, a spaceship arcs over the Neptune orbit, its blazing rocket thrusting it onward at an ever-increasing pace. Far behind, drawing slowly nearer, is the Terra 5. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy, their minds and bodies aching under the strain of several G's acceleration, relentlessly follow the blurred circle of flame from the rockets of the fleeing ship.
We're nearly up to star drive velocity. They cut over into hyperspace, we'll never get them.
Scarno's taking an awful chance because into hyperspace in that ship. I'd better warn him.
He's ignored all your other warnings, sir.
He's had a fair chance to escape. Maybe you'll listen to reason now. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Ryland Scarno aboard Star Drive Cruiser JS-14. Corey to Scarno. Scarno, this is urgent. Acknowledge.
Someone calling the great Dr. Scarno?
Scarno, listen. Cut your rockets and surrender.
Now, Commander, why should I do that? My ship is nearly up to star drive velocity.
You're taking an awful chance, Scarno. That ship's in bad shape, mechanically and electronically.
I knew that when I stole it from Jupiter City Spaceport.
Your hyperspace transition effector is probably out of alignment. When you cut into star drive, there's no telling what'll happen to you.
One thing is sure. You won't be able to follow.
You may think the ship's worth stealing, but is it worth risking your life for?
You forget that I'm an expert on hyperspace theory and star drive mechanisms.
If you don't value your own life, think of that man with you.
Glover has already made his choice. Is that right, Hugo?
Yeah, I'm speaking with Dr. Scarno.
You heard Glover. Goodbye, Commander. We're kicking at a star drive.
Scarno, wait. Scarno.
That's no use, sir. Look, the ship vanished. Scarno's in hyperspace.
Yes, he got away. But sooner or later, he'll have to return to the solar system.
Provided he can, you can.
You go back to Terra and alert all units from Mercury to Pluto to watch for him.
In the control compartment of the stolen Star Drive cruiser, Dr. Scarno and his assistant Hugo Glomer have blacked out as the ship makes the sudden transition from regular three-dimensional space into hyperspace. At last, Scarno regains his senses and shakes his companion.
Listen, we're coming out of Star Drive.
Yeah. Well, we got, I can see streaks of light through the viewport.
I'll set up the astrogation instruments. We should emerge about 30 billion DUs beyond Pluto.
There's the sun blazing off our starboard side. There's the Earth. I know it's the Earth. See? There's its moon.
It can't be the Earth. On the wrong side of the sun for this time of year.
Your astrogation instrument must be off.
Nonsense. We're not in hyperspace now. Mars-type planet. It's 94 degrees off.
Still...
Shut up, Hugo. Let me think. All those planets are off. In the exact proportion of the periods of revolution around the sun. In hyperspace has no relation to ordinary space-time. Earth's time stood still while the solar system aged 6 months. Look at Earth. There's your proof.
I don't understand.
The Earth has gone halfway around its orbit. Half a year.
6 months gone out of our lives.
6 months. It's a multiple of 6 months. A year in 6 months. 5 years in 6 months. A century in 6 months.
No. No.
You're a new type of explorer, Hugo. When we land on Earth, we'll know exactly where we are. But we won't know when. There's no doubt about it now, Hugo. It's Earth, all right. The landmass is the Florida Peninsula.
But the city, what happened to the city? And there are no farms, no spaceports, just forest and wilderness.
We'll know the answer after we land. I've examined the settings on the hyperspace computer. I think I know what went wrong. The circuits that control the time coordinates are out of alignment.
Can you fix them?
Oh, there's where we'll land. Near the mouth of that river.
I'm all confused. Tell me what's going on.
Later, Hugo. Just keep your head and trust me.
Boss and Happy have returned to Space Patrol headquarters on Terra after their futile pursuit of Dr. Skarner.
Skarner will probably try to contact some of his accomplices by hyperspace communications, Happy. Our monitoring stations will notify us if any unidentified signals are picked up.
Yeah, but we can't get a fix on Skarno from hyperspace signal. And it'll probably be in code, too.
You're always alive. We may be able to locate his Confederates and set a trap. I've already got a line on one likely suspect.
Who, sir?
Skarno's had dealings with a Phil Driscoll, who operates a small private spaceport in the Andes Mountains in South America, on the planet Earth.
It's a good hideout, all right.
This tie-in of Driscoll with Dr. Skarno may be the bait we need. First, we know that Skarno's is given spaceport for repairs.
And it does need repairs.
Yes, immediately. In fact, Skarno may have set a hyperspace vector for Earth when they cut into Skyway.
Well, he may be at Bristol Spaceport right now repairing the star drive controls.
He isn't. There's a good chance he'll show up there very soon. Happy we're blasting off to Earth. Check up on Mr. Driscoll.
Meantime, Dr. Skarno and Hugo Glomer have landed their ship near the mouth of a river. Carrying empty water containers, they climb a grassy knoll that slopes down toward the sandy beach a quarter of a mile away.
Look, Doc. I kept quiet all the time you were working on a hyperspace computer. Now, will you tell me what year we're in?
I don't know whether your mind can stand the shock, Hugo. But first, let me assure you I've repaired the computer and the control mechanism. We can return to our proper period of time when it resumes.
All right. Let's have it.
Remember you asked what happened to the cities of North America? They have not been destroyed. They have not yet been built. And now in the latter part of the 16th century.
We've gone back into the past?
More than 1,400 years back. From the 30th century back to about 1591.
But can we return? Are you sure you can get us back to the 30th century?
What's the rush? We're safe here. And the Cory hasn't been born yet, and won't be for 14 centuries. Between the river, the sea, and those woods over there, we'll find plenty of fish and game to eat.
Dr. Skarno,
Hugo. Men. They're running toward the beach.
Coming down the river?
From the sea. Must be a ship out there.
Why didn't we see it when we came in for a landing?
We've been down 3 hours. may have been hidden in the cold.
Those men, what did they look like?
They're dragging the rowboat up on the sand. The rest of it is hidden by video. There's your head over there, you can see.
Sailing ship.
Not true. Steamships won't be invented for more than 200 years. The Spanish galleon, Julio.
Spanish galleon?
Now, do you believe this is 1591?
Could be a dream.
It's real, all right. There's men climbing out of the rowboat now. They're carrying something heavy. A box of some kind. Some shutters.
We have the binoculars.
No. Hugo. The pirates. They're burying them. Treasure they've stolen from other ships. They're burying it here.
Doc, you're talking off these planes.
Well, what will they do? We'll go back to the ship and sail away. We'll dig it up.
What good is it going to do us?
You can see. We get back to the 30th century. Pirate treasure will solve all our financial problems. We'll pay Bill Bristol to help us fix up the spaceship.
We're rich. We're rich.
Elsewhere, Buzz and Happy are now at the remote spaceport operated by Phil Bristol in the Andes Mountains. They've been questioning Bristol for some time with no results.
No, Commander, I haven't heard anything from old Doc Scarno for more than a year. Frankly, that suits me fine. I don't want to get involved in any of his deals.
I see. And what about his pal, Hugo Glomer?
Glomer? I've heard of him. Now, look, Commander, I can't imagine why you came here. This spaceport's strictly on the up and up. I'd pick up a few emergency jobs, all legitimate.
Well, Bristol, we'd like to look around a bit. What's in that hangar over there at the south end of the port?
Oh, just an old pump, waiting for repairs.
Yep, and I'll take a look at it.
It's nothing to see, believe me.
What's the matter, Bristol? Something out there you don't want us to see?
No, of course not.
We'll take care of them, Bristol. Get your hands up. Both of you.
At the Scarno.
Yes, Commander. Bristol, take their weapons. I don't want them to give Hugo an excuse to shoot them.
Okay, Scarno. Well, why not shoot them? We can't let them go.
I have other plans. We'll dispose of them permanently, and yet we won't harm them a bit. Remember those gold pieces I showed you? Spanish coins? We'll take Corey and the cadet back where we got the treasure and leave them there. Come on, gentlemen.
Where are you taking us, Scarno?
Oh, you like it? The sun is warm and the sea is beautiful. And someday a ship may come along and take you aboard. And then we'll be right back on your trail, Scarno. No, we won't. The ship, if any, will be a Spanish galleon.
Galleon?
I'll be safe to be forever. We're going back 1,400 years. Being marooned, Corey, like the ancient pirates marooned their enemies. Marooned in time.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Say, do you recognize this sound?
Why, that's somebody drinking Nestle's Quick, Captain Truesdell.
How can you be so sure, Tony?
Easy. A drink has to be awful good to drink it down to the very last bubble like that. And Nestle's Quick sure is. Why, it's so rich and chocolatey, it tastes just like those wonderful Nestle's chocolate bars.
Well, I follow you there.
Now, if a drink is hard to make, you usually drink it kind of slow, so it'll last long. But that sound was somebody drinking fast. And on account of you can make yourself a glass of Nestle's Quick so fast, and start all over again. Us kids don't mind drinking it down in a hurry. So it had to be Nestle's Quick.
Tony, you're absolutely right. Nestle's Quick is so quick. In fact, it makes itself. You just pour out your glass of cold milk. That's why the milk comes first. Then add 2 teaspoons of rich Nestle's Quick, and down it goes, mixing all the way. You just give it a little swish with your spoon, and it's ready to drink.
There's one more reason, Captain.
Oh, what's that?
Well, I've made that sound so many times myself, I know it by heart. Want me to show you?
Shoot.
Okay. I'll make my glass of Quick. Just add 2 spoonfuls to my glass of milk. Now once around with the spoon, in with the straws, and here goes.
Well, sure enough. That's the happy drinking you get only when you get delicious Nestle's Quick.
in the bright brown and yellow can. Try some right away. Quick makes milk taste like a million. You'll see. That's Nestle's Quick. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Time Pirates. At a spaceport high in the Andes Mountains on the planet Earth, the port manager, Phil Bristol, tells Buzz and Happy he knows nothing about Dr. Scarno and Hugo Glomer, who have stolen the Star Drive ship. Suddenly, Scarno and Glomer emerge from hiding, disarm the space patrollers, and threaten them with a strange fate. Buzz and Happy are to be taken back 1,400 years in time and left on a deserted coast of America in the late 16th century.
Well, gentlemen, I see you've survived your first trip back through time. We are now back in the year 1591.
It's funny. You don't look a day younger.
You're still skeptical. My friend Glomer is bringing the ship in for landing on Earth. Then you will see for yourself.
How did you discover this trick of time travel?
It was an accident. The hyperspace computer was out of adjustment. Now I can control it. However, to avoid error, I'm returning to the exact moment of time of our previous trip.
You're going to leave us here?
Yes. I'll be rid of you. Then I'll have committed no crime. There's no law against transporting people back in time. Is there, Commander?
Yeah. Scarno, how long after the pirates buried the treasure did you and Hugo dig it up?
We waited till they got back aboard their galleon and sailed out of sight. About 2 hours, I suppose. Why?
Do you know the exact time they buried it?
It was noon. Yes, the sun was almost directly overhead. What are you getting at?
The treasure existed under the sand from noon until you took it away 2 hours later. But what would happen if, on this trip, you dug it up 1 hour earlier?
Then I'd have 2 treasures.
Huh? But there's only one treasure.
Yes, it's aboard this ship.
But we're going back in time. We'll see the pirates bury their gold at noon, like rerunning a film.
But this time we'll get there sooner. Beat ourselves to it, so to speak. We'll have 2 identical treasures.
On second thought, it won't work. No, Scarno.
It will. It's got to.
But common sense...
Common sense. Common sense tells you that you couldn't possibly be here in the year 1591 because you're not even born. Still, you're here, aren't you?
Well, yes, but there's only one of each of us. There isn't a Commander Corey here in 1591 and another Commander Corey up ahead in the 30th century.
You're trying to talk me out of my great idea. You want to dig up the treasure after I blast off so you can live like kings here in the 16th century. Well, I'll just kill that little scheme. You and I will get the treasure again, and you 2 are going to help.
Dr. Scarno carefully repeats the exact landing procedure of his previous trip to the year 1591. Then, concealed by bushes on the knoll, the 4 men from the 30th century watch the pirates bring their rowboat ashore, bury their treasure chest, and return to their galleon lying at anchor in the quiet waters of the bay. Finally, Scarno rises to his feet.
Stay digging.
And remember, one false move and you'll die before your time. It's pretty good, eh, Doc?
Shut up, Hugo.
Hey, Doc, what happens if those pirates see us from their ship?
I can ask. I didn't sail around the... Anyway, what did they do? Wait, dig faster, you 2.
Oh, what's the rush? We've got 14 centuries to dig this up.
It's there. We uncovered the chest.
Hurry, Corey. Throw away that sand.
It worked, just like you said it would, Doc. We got proof that's the treasure.
I think I can lift it out now.
Down those shovels and haul out the chest.
It's sure heavy.
Hugo, I've got another idea. You can dig up the same treasure twice. Why not 3 times or 4 times? Come back again, 15 or 20 minutes early.
Well, you're going to be bumping into the pirates if you keep it out.
Keep it. Fill in that hole, level it out smooth. And don't forget the shovel. All right. Get that treasure to the ship. Hugo, unlock compartment 2. Put the chest in there with the other one.
Well, hurry up. This thing isn't getting any lighter.
Okay.
All right, Corey. Take the chest in the compartment and set it down by the other treasure.
Oh. Hey, what other treasure?
Doc, look. The other chest is gone.
What? That's impossible. Only you and I have the keys to this compartment. Hugo, what are you trying to pull?
What do you mean? What am I trying to pull? Are you accusing me of stealing the gold?
You didn't do it. Who did? I've got a notion that... Don't move close. So got you covered. Hugo, listen. Corey has just been waiting for us to get into a private scrap so he and the cadet can jump us.
Now, where did you ever get an idea like that?
In fact, he probably planned this whole thing.
How could they? They were locked up in another compartment, except when they were with us on the beach.
Corey's figured out some trick about this time travel effect. What is it, Corey? Where's the first treasure we dug up?
Right here. Happy and I just set it down.
It's the second chip.
Look, one object can't be in two places in the same instant. The instant the ship returned to the year 1591, the treasure vanished from the compartment.
This time we dug up the same chest as before. Only half an hour sooner.
That's it. Of course, if we took the chest ahead to the 30th century and left it there, and then came back...
You got it. Hey, see, Scarno? Our spaceship is a time machine. If the gold isn't in the time machine, it couldn't return to 1591. It would stay in the future with Bristol.
It's a possibility, Scarno.
It's worth trying. If you thought this up so we take you back to the 30th century, you're mistaken. Corey, you and the cadet are staying here. Hugo, get them out of the ship. We're blasting off.
Left behind on a desolate coast in the year 1591, Buzz and Happy watched the ship blast off into space on its strange journey into the future. Accepting their situation bravely, Buzz suggests they explore their surrounding and search for food. Right now, several hours later, the space patrollers walk along the wet sand of the water's edge.
Since we haven't any weapons to hunt with, our best bet is to try to dig up some clams.
Yeah. Looks like there are a couple of Robinson Crusoes over here.
Let's try this spot. Let's start digging up. Why are you watching the sky?
Oh, I'm looking for Scarno's ship. He ought to be back by now.
Yeah, returned here and blasted off again, Corey.
Wouldn't we have seen him?
Now, when he returns, he'll have set his time selector to about noon of this day in 1591. To us, it's now 4 hours later. The arrival of the pirates, Scarno's return, both events are past history for us.
I just can't realize that we're back in 1591.
Let's get used to it. Let's make the best of it. After all, our ancestors did.
Then we're stuck here in the past forever?
It's not the past now. It's our present. However, there's one possibility, one slight chance of getting back to the future.
Yeah? Oh, never. I feel strange. Everything's going bad. What's that sound? The Commander. What's happening to us? Commander? Where are you?
As Scarno lands his spaceship in the now familiar hollow between the low rolling hills, the sun is high overhead. The Spanish galleon rolls gently at anchor in the bay, its pirate crew unaware that pirates of the future are waiting to steal their plunder.
All right, Hugo, get the shovels out of the tool compartment.
Okay, Doc. What time did we hit the beach this day?
1 hour and 15 minutes past noon.
You don't suppose there's any chance of Corey and the cadets spoiling our show?
How could they? 4 hours into the future. They could no more interfere with us than you could change last week's weather.
I see. You know, I have a feeling that this time it's going to work. The treasure we left with Bristol will stay in the 30th century. Now, we dig up the duplicate the pirates are about to bury. And we have 2 treasures.
Yes, I know. I'll get this one.
Get Scarno, Happy. I'll handle Hugo. Yes, sir.
Okay, Hap, take a look.
Yes, sir.
Corey, where did you come from?
From the compartment where you had us locked up at first.
How did you get in?
We were on the beach. Then all of a sudden there was a whirring sound. Things got black, and then boom, we were in your ship.
What made it happen? Scarno said you were 4 hours into the future.
We were. But our existence in the year 1591 first began when your ship emerged from hyperspace, when you first brought us here. In that instant of time, we were in the ship. So when we returned to that instant, we returned too.
Yeah, only this time the compartment door wasn't locked.
Should have shot you before he blasted him.
That wouldn't have helped you. You were part of the space-time equation for this instant of the year 1591.
Sure. As far as the 30th century is concerned, those pirates have been dead for hundreds of years. And yet, when you tune in on this day in 1591, there they are, real as life.
On your feet, Scarno. You're returning to the 30th century to get your pal Bristol.
Under Commander Corey's watchful eye, Scarno sets the hyperspace vector for a return to the 30th century. Landing at the spaceport in the Andes, Buzz leaves Happy in the ship to guard the two prisoners while he goes after Bristol.
Now, just relax, boys. You'll have company in a few minutes.
It's all your fault, Scarno. You were so smart.
Look, Hugo, you're still in good shape. So we'll go to a criminal rehabilitation center for a while. When we come out, we'll still have the treasure we left with Bristol.
Yeah? Will Corey let us have it?
You have to. Pirates buried it, and we dug it up. Two owners have been dead for centuries. It's ours by right of discovery.
Oh, Commander, did you find Bristol?
No, Happy's gone. And so is the ship.
The treasure. What about the treasure?
I checked the hiding place you told me about. It's gone.
Poor Bristol. He double-crossed us.
Now, don't worry about him. I'll find him. It'll be easy.
Easy? Do you know where he's gone?
No, but I know how to find out.
How, sir?
I'll tell you later, Hap. When they get these two characters back to Terra.
Bristol, he's nothing but a
pirate?
Yes. That's it. A low-down pirate.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Say, Space Patrollers, now's the time for a quick-me-up. Know what that is? It's a pick-me-up with Nestle's Quick. Yes, sir, when a fellow's throat wants something cool and smooth, Quick. Have some Quick. Quick is Nestle's wonderful chocolate powder that makes milk taste like a million. In fact, it turns out chocolate milk with the same sensational flavor as your favorite Nestle's chocolate bar. That's real terrific chocolate. Rich, smooth, and plenty delicious. And Nestle's Quick is such a cinch because it practically makes itself. After you pour yourself a glass of milk, just add 2 spoonfuls of Quick. It starts to mix itself, and you just pump it along with a little stir. Then taste it. See if you don't agree with all us Space Patrollers. There's nothing like a delicious Quick Me-Up. Ask Mom to get you some Nestle's Quick in the brown and yellow can.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy have entered a laboratory on the planet Mars to capture a criminal. With ray guns drawn, they advance toward their foe, who suddenly darts behind a high-frequency generator.
He's trying to get out the door, Commander.
After him, Happy, before he gets away.
Yes, sir. I can't move. We're in a high-voltage field. Throw down your gun. I can't.
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, Voyage to the Future. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Ken Mayer, Norman Jolly, Baylor Kovach, and Tony Sides. Dick Dufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast for Armed Forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.